Okay, now we're going to start up our MV-8000. Okay, we're processing. And there we go. We've got the Roland logo. Ooh, little animation. Production studio. Wow. Loading songs. You can see if there's data already in our MV-8000, it will load it up. So right now it's loading up a song. It's loading the library next. Now it's loading up the sample or samples. So it's loading them by category. And we're still loading. And we're about done loading. And I think we're almost done. And here we go. Okay, let's check out this MV-8000. Caleb, what's this fun about?
Well, basically, we've got, all of our functions set all across this thing. There's tons of buttons on here, and, don't let it intimidate you at first, but I'll show you how to get started. Basically, we're going to start way up here. This is our section up here. This is for sort of inputs and outputs. We got our left input and our right input. This adjusts the level when we're recording either from like a microphone or say like our turntable or whatever. We're going to adjust our level here for the left and for the right. So that'll be the incoming source into our MV-8000.
Good.
And that's actually back here on the analog input, phono and mic line. Then we got our phono right here, or our phones. This is for our headphones.
Headset, right.
And that just connects also in the back there. This is our minimum maximum, pretty basic. Next over here on our screen, we've got our contrast as usual. This will, as you can see, lighten or darken your screen there.
That depends on your viewing angle, actually. If you're sitting low, like down to here somewhere, well, you're going to have a different contrast. If you're looking straight up at it like this way, you're looking dead onto it, you got to have a different contrast.
Definitely. All right, moving over, we have our shutdown button here. This is for shutting down our MV-8000. Very important. You can't just turn off the power. We'll show you that later. Next, we got our master output right here. This is just the master level out of the master output. Pretty basic. All right, moving on here, we have our little section underneath our screen. We have menu, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, and exit. Now these buttons, F1 through 5, are going to correspond to whatever is on the screen. So look right above each button whenever you're in a certain screen, and you'll see what function it does.
These are extra functions that happen on certain pages. You could be, let's say, in a sequence section, you can do track name or track whatever or MIDI or whatever. These will help you get to other pages that are in that particular section, like you just said.
Exactly. And now we've got menu. Menu you'll see light up when you're on certain parameters, and that means that there's a menu available.
Right.
So you'll use that accordingly. And then we also have exit. This is when you're within a menu to exit out to the previous one. So that's that right there, our exit button.
Got it.
All right, next we have our faders here. And these faders correspond to, they can basically be assigned to different things. They can be the audio tracks that we record on our MV-8000.
For volume?
Mm-hmm. Or they can actually be our MIDI track volume.
For volume MIDI track also. Or MIDI events also too, maybe? Just volume, got you.
All right. Next we have our
mixer?
Our section. Yeah, we have our section right here. This section will help you move around the screen on your Roland MV-8000. We basically have our different main menus that we're going to be dealing with.
Like mixer?
Yep, we got mixer right there.
A project.
Within project, we have sequence, setup. That's for the song right here. Sequence and setup. And then we have sampler below that. Instruments, audio phrases. We're going to show you each one of these a little bit later on.
We have assignable slider. So we can assign stuff to a slider. We have our system and our disk and USB connection. And also mastering here. Cool.
That's right.
What's up over here?
All right. Now we have our effects section. the COSM right here, as you can see. You can hit effects, and that'll get you into your effects section. These three knobs here control various parameters, whatever you're on your screen. Say it could be compression, attack, decay, different parameters that you'll be using on the MV-8000.
Cool.
And right below that, we have our entire sort of pad section here. And all these buttons sort of interrelate to each other. And basically, if you've used any other drum machine, these are the pads that trigger our sounds.
4x4, we got 16 pads.
16 pads, that's right. Now up above here, right below our knobs, we've got three buttons. Multi-level,
Right.
fixed velocity, and event erase.
1, 2, 3.
Alright? Multi-level pretty much means when you have a sample selected, you'll hit your sound, hit multi-level, and now you have the sound across every single pad, and it'll be getting louder. So pretty much that's the lowest volume it could be at, a little bit louder, and the highest volume.
Highest volume, got it.
And so it gives you different ways to make a hi-hat sound more realistic, or, you can try other things.
Yep.
Next we got fixed velocity. What this means, it's a set velocity, meaning the highest level it can be. And that means every time you hit the pad, it's going to be the loudest level.
Any pad.
Any pad, that's
Got
right.
it.
And then we have an event erase, which we'll show you in sequencing later. That's
Cool.
to erase different MIDI events.
So these are just different buttons for like hold. You can hold this down, I guess. This is roll, roll a button, roll a sample. This is delete, clipboard, quick edit, and pad banks. We'll show you these later on anyway. Let's get you familiar right now with the front of our machine. What happens over here?
All right, this is our sort of a number pad here. And this can be assigned to selecting different numbers, different symbols here. As you can see, you can go flat, sharp, or you can even use it to name things.
Oh, I see. For doing like with keys.
Yep. And
Oh, I
yeah,
got
we
you.
also use this when naming our tracks, naming our samples. You can see there's a J, K, L, M, N,
3
L.
letters on each, like a telephone almost.
Yeah, basically. And then we have our shift button, allowing us to get different functions, of course.
Right.
As you can see, it's the white right there, so it's going to refer to our little
All right, so
white
you press
letters.
shift, it accesses the white letters. If no shift, then the black stuff happens
Exactly.
on this keypad section.
Yep. And we got our enter to enter in whatever we select.
Whatever data. We can also increase or decrease with the cursor.
Yep, this is just our incrementals. And then we have our cursor right here. This allows us to get around all of our menus on our screen here.
Oh, up and down,
Left and right.
left and right. Got
Yeah.
it.
And then we have our jog wheel. And this pretty much changes values. Whether it be if you're going to be in mute or solo, or if you're going to raise the level or drop the level, just different parameters. You'll be using your data wheel here.
Got it. Now here it looks like a regular classic thing on the MPC or my first recorder actually. It's like back to the top, a stop, a play, a record, like a transport section.
Yep, our basic transport. And we have, as you can see, top, stop, play, record. And we can step back and forth within our song.
Right.
We can jump, and we can go to different measures here.
So we can jump. We can pick where you want to jump to and jump to that part of the song. Got it.
Yep.
All right, says auto punch. And we got a preview and a loop section, I see.
Yeah, loop is great. You can turn it on. You can easily do a quick set, which I believe the default is to 2 bars. But you can also see that on your main screen. We'll show you that later. It's a great way to get sort of your 4-bar loop going and get your drums in place. And then we have, of course, our BPM tap. Tap it once, you can set your tempo for your sequence.
Oh, I see.
Or do a multi-tap, and your BPMs will change.
Got it.
Pretty basic.
Pretty basic. Okay, cool. I like it. Now up here, I see we got like a disk drive down here. Let me lift this up a little bit so I can see it. Well, I can't even see that with the light there, but I got a disk drive right here. How's the button on this thing? Oh, there we go. I got a disk right here. See that? We got a disk, one of our Sample Kings discs. This machine also reads MPC 60 discs, which is amazing. And we also got a little drive here for our CD. It's kind of cool. See a CD right in there? Okay. Let's check out the back of this machine.
Sounds great.
Okay, we got that sampling.
Yep, we got sampling right there. That's to access our sampling mode. We'll show you that later on.
And what about this? That's import.
Import. That's how we get samples from our disk drive down here or our CD drive.
So we can import samples from another source and just import it into our MV-8000.
Yep.
What's that V-Link thing for?
This thing right here is for hooking up to a computer or other device. We'll show you this later on.
USB link, right?
Yep.
Looks like it.
And then we also have our undo and redo button.
Simple. Undo it or redo it the way it was done.
Great for when you make those little mistakes. So let's get busy. We'll show you the back.
Okay, it's the back of our MV-8000, obviously. Check it out. This is our phono section. If you got a turntable, you plug them up here. Obviously, RCA, we got a right and a left, and we got a ground. See this little screw here? You can put your little ground thing, a little ground, little wire you got with a little shoehorn end of it. Put it here, screw it in, you're good to go. You got me?
Otherwise, you're going to hear a loud buzzing sound.
Buzz, click, pop, all that crap.
Connect your ground.
Connect your ground. Next, we got our analog input. Now, both these analog inputs. This is RCA, not just for phono. This is also quarter-inch. This is left and right quarter-inch input. It's called tip ring sleeve. That's what it is. You see that? Next, we got our output section. Now, the same thing. Tip ring sleeve. See that there? That's our master. Tip ring sleeve right there. Right, left. Next up we have our phono. You get your headset, you plug it right in there. You got me? Pretty simple. We also have a digital right there. A digital in, that's A. See that? And we have a foot switch in case you want to do like a stop or start. Let's say you got like a guitar player. He's coming over and he wants to punch in a certain point. If you got a foot switch, he can hit the foot switch, punch himself into the record, hit the foot switch, punch himself out the record. It's kind of cool if you need a foot switch. Also, have a USB connection for a USB cable, which goes right up in there. Now down here below these, we have our MIDI input and out. We got one MIDI in, and we got a MIDI out A, and a MIDI out B for your MIDI cables. Next, at the very end over there, we have our power. Make sure the proper AC in. Match it to whatever's in your household. Read your manual for that section, please. So then we're going to have a really good power and make the machine last so it won't get damaged. Once you get your power, just turn it on. And we're good to go. I need stuff to put it to actually do like this shit too. Need an RCA cable to input, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go over here now to the MIDI section. Pan over here with me. Here's my phone in. And now the RC, the digital.
Alright, next we're going to do some sampling. I'm going to press sampling, the button which is located to the lower left of our screen. And as you can see, we have three options: audio phrase, patch, and sample. Alright, our first option here on our sampling screen is audio phrase. Now basically what this is, it'll allow us to sample in a phrase of audio from our inputs back here, and we will be able to either assign it to an audio track or to a pad later on. Next we have patch here. Now this allows us to sample a sound in and assign it directly to a pad. Next we have sample. Now this just lets you take a sample and put it into your memory. We're not going to assign it to anything. And so this is a good way just to, take a few samples and decide what to do with them later on. Alright, for our purpose today, we're going to use patch. Now we're going to take in a sound and assign it to a pad. Let's get ready to do that. We're going to press F2 for patch. And here we go, we're in our sampling screen. Alright, our first window here on our sampling screen is our sample type. We have stereo, and if I turn the jog wheel here, we have mono. Right, basically, mono means we're going to only be taking one side of our input, and stereo means we're going to be taking both sides of our inputs. Next we have start trigger, and there's a few options here. We have level, we have pad, play, and that looks like about it. Oh, and also manual. Alright, so basically what start trigger does is it tells our sampler when to begin sampling. When it's on manual, it means that when I hit start right down here in the corner, which is F5, it's going to start sampling. Now I can switch it to level. Now what this says is when the incoming audio level passes a certain point, the sampler will begin to record. Next we have level. Now right here with level, you see there's another box right here to the right of it that says level. When I change this number, alright, next we have level. Now when we select level here, this little box right here to the right of it becomes available. And we can change this number in our little level box here. And as I change it, you can see this little dot right here on our meters is moving up and down. So basically, what this level up here means is that when the incoming audio signal passes this little point, the sampler will begin to record. And that's how you start like an auto trigger. Alright, our next option here is pad. This means that when I hit start down here, and I'm going to show you guys, I'll hit F5, it says waiting pad to start. Basically that means all I have to do is hit one of our 16 velocity pads down here at the bottom and it will begin recording. It's a good way of sort of punching in a sample if you want to do it that way. It's up to you. I'm going to hit cancel, and our last option is play. This is basically the same as pad, but when we hit start recording here at the bottom, it'll say waiting for play. And that button is the play on your transport. Two different ways of starting your sampler. Alright, below our start trigger we have stop trigger. Now I showed you before in start trigger we have different ways of starting the sampler. In stop trigger we basically have different ways of stopping it. We have manual, that would mean that I would just have to hit the stop button once I start recording. We have beat. We can have our sampler play, say, 8 beats right over here. This is how we would select it, and then it would stop recording. We can also have time. Basically, we can go over here. This is our time box, and we can set the amount of time for our sampler to record. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Alright, next you'll see here we have pre-sample time. And right now it's sort of grayed out. We can't get to it. See, it sort of skips past it. The only way you can do pre-sampling is if you're set to level here. And pre-sampling basically means it's going to start the sampler to record a little bit earlier than when we actually set it for our level, so that it'll catch all of our transients. Alright, we're going to be using manual. I'm going to go down here. There's 3 options here. We have auto divide, auto emphasis, and auto normalize. Alright, so basically auto divide is, if we select this on, it's going to divide our sample every few seconds, and we can set that time there. This is good for, say, dividing up like a breakbeat loop into separate drum samples. Say you just want to get the kick, snare, and hat. And we'll show you this later on. Next you have auto emphasis. Auto emphasis adds sort of more highs to your sample. Check in the book for a good description of emphasis and see if it's going to be right for your sample. Next we have auto normalize. When this is checked, it's going to take the sample that comes in, see at what's the highest peak of your sample, and bring that to 0. So basically it's going to take your sample and make it louder than it is, if it isn't too loud already. Now, all the way at the bottom of our sampling screen, you can see here it says wave memory, 118 megabytes, remaining 11 minutes, 41 seconds. This tells us how much sample time we have left in our MV-8000. Now at the bottom of our sampling screen we have a few different options for our F keys. We have sampling for F1, resampling for F2, reset peak for F3, and start for F5. We have nothing for F4, as you can see there. Now sampling, that's our basic sampler, and we're going to be taking it from our external inputs here on the back. And if you hit resampling, you can see here it changes, the little picture up here. We're actually going to be sampling from the output of our MV-8000. So we can sample something that's already in our song. We'll show you this later on. I'll go back to sampling here, and now you also have reset peak. What this does is when you have a peak on your meter here, say it'll be like -5 or 0 or it clips, you can hit reset peak and it'll go back down to 0 to actually be able to see what level you're reading. And we have start here. This starts your recording or starts the trigger, whatever will happen with trigger. And all the way over here we have our start button, which is F5. What start does is, if we're in manual, it's going to start recording. If we're in trigger, it'll basically do whatever we have set to trigger. And that's it. That's your start button. Let's actually start sampling. Alright, now we're going to actually start sampling. I have a external CD player hooked up to the left and right input on the back of the MV-8000. I'm going to hit play on my CD player. And we have a little guitar there. And I actually want the next one. That's it right there. So I'm going to pause my CD player here. Go back to the top. I'm going to play it again and set my level. And I'll do this using my input knob on the left of my MV-8000. Get a nice even level there, reset my peak, and we have it right before clipping. Alright, go to the top of it, and I will hit start. As you can see, it says now sampling. I'll hit stop. Press stop on my CD player. And now we have our sample. Alright, now that we've taken our sample, before we keep it, we have a few options we can do here. We have our start point and our end point so that we can edit exactly what we want from our sample. Why don't we start with that? We have our start point. And I'm going to start turning my jog wheel here. And you can see on the screen our start point begin to move. And I want to get it right up to the beginning of our sample. And now I can play the sample by pressing preview which is located on F4. Turn this up a little bit so you guys can hear, and I got it just about right there on the front. Now I'll go to my endpoint here. And as you can see, once I start to turn this, there goes our endpoint. It starts to move. So I want to loop our sample here. Why don't I play it? And as you can see, it's not playing from the start of the sample. Why is that? I'm hitting preview. Well, it's because we're in endpoint. If I move it back up and now hit preview, it plays from the beginning of our sample. So let's see what we've edited so far. Now, it's not looping quite right, and I can see right here that I need to get rid of just that little bit there at the end. I'm going to move my endpoint and edit it up. Alright, I'll preview. Oh, let's go to start point. And now we have a good loop here. Next, what we can do is there's two options to the right of endpoint. We have truncate and normalize. When I select truncate, what it's going to do is take this space of the sample here and this space and get rid of it, which is exactly what I want to do. I don't want to have to take up extra space with, this empty sample data. And I'm going to hit normalize. Normalize will bring my sample up to full volume. And as you can see here at the bottom, we have 5 different options on our F keys. We have retry, say if you didn't like the sample or you sort of messed up when you're taking it. We have name, we can name our sample. We have chop, which we can chop our sample into different slices, which we'll show you later on. We have preview, as I showed you before, to preview our sound. And we have OK to accept. Now I'm going to hit OK. It processes it. And now we're at our pad selection screen. Alright, now we're in our quick assign. This comes up right after we edit our sound, and basically it allows us to place the sound onto a pad. As you can see here, we have 16 different pads. So yeah, we have 16 pads here. As you can see, if I hit a pad, it changes to whatever pad I have, and right under our assignment we can see the pad number change. And the 1 right here, if you can see it's pretty small there, corresponds to what pad bank. Now if I move the cursor down and go to 2, this would mean pad bank number 2 and whatever button I press. You got it? Alright, we can also select what patch we're going to save it to. We're going to use number 1 for right now, and I'm just going to assign it to our first pad. Also, the MV-8000 gives us another option to make a keyboard, and we can actually assign our sample from one note to another and make a key map out of it. It's pretty cool. Here at the bottom of our assign page, we have a few F options. We have, for F1, we have name. We can also name again our sample if we want to change it here. We can preview our sample. There's our guitar. And we can set it, which will set my sound, our little guitar here, right to the first pad. Let's do that. I hit set, and it brings us right back to the sampling screen to take in our next sample. Good luck, guys. Have some fun with it. Alright, we're back here at our sequence screen, and what we're going to do now is show you how to edit that drum loop we took and then put it into our sequence. So what we're going to first do is go to our sampler section on the front of our MV-8000, which is located right to the right of the system button. Now there's two options there, instruments or audio phrases. We're going to select the audio phrase button.
The audio phrase button, got it.
When I hit that, we'll see these sort of 16 little squares here
Yeah.
representing our different audio phrases. And as you can see, we had assigned our drum loop to the first one. Right there. So we have all 16. If I hit F2 here, we have the list. And this lists them. And within our list, we can change a few parameters there. We can change like the level.
That's the volume level.
Yep. We can change our play mode, our velocity, and our group.
Good.
Now, this is one way of editing it in this screen. I'm going to show you the other screen, which is a little bit easier to use. I'll go back to pad on F1. I'll hit my sound here, and I'm going to hit edit, which is F5. Select edit there, and now you can see that our drum loop pops up right here as our waveform. We have a few different options on the screen, and why don't we just start with the first? That would be our pad play.
Okay, I'll hit the pad. Okay, it's looping. Oh, I see.
And when you took your finger off there, the sound stops.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so that basically means when you push the button down and let go, the sound stops.
Okay, so it gates it out.
Let's do trigger. Wow, you're not even touching the pad now.
Stop it. Okay, I see. It keeps going. I'll press the pad again and it stops.
So it's more like an on-off switch.
On-off switch when you trigger the actual sample. Okay. Next we have drum.
Wow.
Oh, it plays. It just plays as a drum.
It'll play the entire sample out one time.
One time.
From only one hit.
So then it ignores this loop thing right here.
Yep.
Where it says loop mode, where it says start to end.
Why don't we just use gate for now?
I agree.
Okay.
Let's go down to the loop mode.
Now loop mode, we have two options here. Or actually three. We can turn it off.
Well, loop. Okay.
We have start and end.
It loops. Got it.
And what start and end is referring to is the start point, end point right over here. And as you can see, loop point is grayed out. So now if we turn the jog wheel, we have loop end. What this means is that the sample will begin when you first hit the pad from the start point, but once it loops, it's going to begin at the loop point.
Oh, I see. So you can change it.
Let's go in here. Let's turn up our loop point to maybe halfway through the sample.
Oh, it's right there. I see you moving it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move that up a little bit further even, and
I'll press the pad.
See how it started from the beginning, but now it's looping from the middle because that is our loop point.
Got it. So it starts in the beginning, but when it goes around one time, it starts again from the loop point.
Exactly.
Got it. What's the next option we got there?
Well, let me set this back to 0 real quick because we just want it to loop all the way around.
Well, make sure to set that back in case you guys don't do it. You'll have this funny loop going on. There we go. Now we're back to 0.
And we actually just want to do start and end for our loop.
Exactly.
All right, next we got to see how many beats per minute our sample is to figure out the tempo.
Now, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the full length of the samples. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 means one measure. That's 4 beats, 4 quarter notes.
Yeah, if we're recording, if we're referring the quarter notes to the beat.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing right here. As you can see, I have selected quarter notes. I can also select a few different options there. There's sixteenths, eighth notes, all different ones.
The most simplest form is quarter notes. That way you can measure by 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one measure.
Yeah. Using the other ones would be if you had a sample that's less than 1 bar.
Exactly.
All right. So we're going to say we're using quarter notes, 4 beats, and as you can see up here, it gave us our tempo.
Exactly, which is 96.09.
That's right.
Got it.
Okay, we got a few other parameters here that we can change on our sample.
It's our level, huh? Oh, I see. We turn the jog wheel down, the value lowers, and the level actually gets lower.
Yep.
Got it. What's the next one over there?
We have velocity control. So right now, when we hit the pad, it's playing at one solid level.
Yeah, I'm tapping it softly. It's still hitting the same level.
Now if I turn this on, ooh.
Oh, I see. If I hit hard, it comes on. Hit it soft, it plays soft. Oh, I see. So it's the velocity level controls the amount of volume that comes out of that particular sample.
Yep.
Got it.
All right, we're going to turn that off. We want it to play the same level whenever we hit it.
Agreed.
All right, then we got, of course, our coarse tune, fine tune.
Oh, let's see that chorus. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, rap. Wow, that's fast. Yeah, baby.
There you go.
That's a slow beat for me.
And we got, of course, the
fine tuning of the actual pitch. Nice.
That just does a little bit by little bit.
Yeah, to help you get the perfect pitch you actually want. What's the reverse do?
Wow, this is pretty cool. Instantaneous.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Hit it. Me and my dogs. I like that.
Cool. Now this next function is pretty important. It's called BPM sync. What this allows you to do is once you record your sample to an audio track, which we're going to show you how to do here in just a minute, when you change the tempo, your sample is actually going to change with your tempo. Meaning if we're set at, like we have up here, 96.09, and I decide to change that later on to 120 beats per minute,
right,
the drums will still stay in tempo. It's really cool.
What about the buttons here on the bottom?
Okay, basically say we have this drum loop on our first pad.
Right.
If we wanted to change that to a different sample that we have already loaded into memory, we can hit F1 for the sample list, and as you can see, those are our different samples there that we've already loaded into our machine. And we can actually pick a different sample to load into our audio phrase. And you preview it by pressing F4.
Oh, I see.
Like some different road sounds we can put in there. Let's just keep our drums on.
Preview. A guy in the drums right there. Okay, let's keep it in. How do you keep it?
You just hit select, which is F5.
Cool.
All right. And next to that, we have length lock. What this does is it puts a lock on your start and your end point so that nobody will change it, and it'll change, halfway through the
mess
song.
your whole track up.
Yep. And then we have chop. Now, chop is an advanced function. We'll have to show you another time. Maybe check it out on our next level video.
That's on our next level video.
All right. And last but not least, we have F5, which is command. I'll press command here, and it gives us 4 options. We have emphasis, normalize, time stretch, and truncate.
Got it.
Now, these are your basic functions. Emphasize adds highs. Check your book out for more info. Normalize, as we said before, will make your entire sample louder. Time stretch, we can change the timing. Truncate will cut off those extra edges that we don't need if we further edit it.
Exactly.
All right. So why don't we go back to our sequence edit, and we're going to put this into our sequence.
Let's take this drum beat and the guitar we got, and then I'll play some keyboards.
Sounds good. Now, remember, if you want to be able to change the tempo later on and have your drums match, this is very important. We need to, first of all, turn our BPM sync on before recording our audio track.
Got it.
Okay? And we also need to do, what we have to do, is go to sequence and change our tempo right away to
96.09.
Exactly.
Because that way we can actually start to change the tempo. It's important because the Roland suggests is the way to work the machine.
Exactly. Now when we record, we know that we'll have the exact right tempo for our drums.
Yeah.
Cool. And I changed the tempo actually just by pressing BPM tap located next to the transport. And as you can see, I just dialed it in, hit the exit button, and we have our new tempo.
Good.
Why don't we start up our new hip-hop track?
Let's start up. Let's get busy. We've got our sample. And remember, it's an audio phrase. Now here we have audio tracks. You can hear your audio phrase on your audio tracks. I'll click onto the sample by pressing this pad number 1. Now I'm going to go over here to the cursor and move down to the next available audio track. See that? And you can hear it there also. And I go to this next one here. Now on all 4 audio tracks, we can still hear this one audio phrase. Now watch. I'm going to go to my MIDI 1 track. That's the guitar sample we took earlier. Now that guitar sample is assigned to a patch. And that's why we hear it.
And you see, Doc, that patch is assigned to that MIDI track.
Uh-huh.
And we showed you that before by hitting track parameter, which is F1. And as you can see, we have initial patch 1. And that's exactly what we assigned our guitar to. That's why we're hearing that.
Exactly.
So let's close that. And why don't we record our drum loop?
Let's do that. I'll move the cursor back up here to audio 1. Next, I'm going to press record here in my transport section on my MV-8000. Now we hear that little click going on there. Check out the monitor here. Now here, as you can see, in the first part of the window we have here, it says direct mono. That's our direct input signal. We don't want that. This is the direct stereo. That means we're going to record stereo into our MV-8000. We don't want that. We want to record an event. We want to hit a pad and time to the placement. We want to place it in this sequence. We do want that.
Now, before we do that, Doc, why don't we set our MV-8000 to do a quick loop so that we only record 2 bars and then it loops?
Okay, let's make sure the tempo's right. Let's go to BPM. As we can see here, the BPM is the same BPM that we set earlier with our drum loop, which is 96.09 for that audio phrase, the drum loop. Okay, now I want to exit this tempo. We got the right tempo. That's it right there. I'll press exit. Great. Next, I want to go right down here to my top. I want to go to the top of the sequence. I'll press top right there. Okay, next, I want to press the on for my loop. Now, I'm going to press quick set. Now, quick set allows us to take it from the top and gives us a quick 2-bar loop phrase. And you can see that right here at the top of our window where it says, this little thing right here, 0001 slash 1, which is the first measure, first beat, to 003 slash 01, which is where the loop ends. That means to start there and start back in at 1.
That's correct, Doc. And now be careful. If you're on bar 2 and you hit quick set for your loop, it's going to actually quick set it from bar 2 to bar 4.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you always want to be at the top if that's where you're going to be recording from.
Exactly.
All right. Why don't we record our track?
Let's do that. I'll press record.
And we're going to record the vent, just like you said before.
Exactly. We're recording an event. And here we go. You see event. Now, I want to press play. Now, watch what happens when I press play. Listen to the clicks very carefully. I'll press play. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we're looping now. You can see here, it's looping to the tempo desired. And it's going past our little playback head right here. And we made a loop.
Also, it's grayed out the area, as you can see right here. And that's how we can tell that we have an event recorded on that track.
Which is audio track 1.
Alright, we showed you before when we set up our audio phrase. I'll go right back to it real quick. I'm going to go back to Edit within the audio phrase menu. And we had turned on our BPM sync right there. I'm going to go back to our sequence. Now what this means is, because we set it up to our exact tempo, which was 96.09, and we turned on the auto sync before we recorded the track, now that when I play the track, I can bring up my tempo right there just by pressing the BPM/tap button, and I'm going to change my tempo using the jog wheel.
So we're actually using the jog wheel to create our time stretch.
And see, now when I change the tempo, the sample changes in time with the tempo.
The pitch doesn't change, the pitch remains the same as the sample, but the speed is changing in time to what we set. As you can see, it's 120. We can go down too. That's how it works.
Now we're going to assign a patch to our MIDI channels. This is done by going to your MIDI channel. We're going to hit track parameters, and as you can see, we have all of our track parameters which I showed you earlier.
Right.
Now I can change my patch on MIDI channel 1 to whatever patch I want by just turning the dial. We can have up to 16 patches at one time. Alright, so I'm going to select our very first patch right here for MIDI channel 1, and our initial patch was what we assigned our guitar to. There's our guitar right there. Now I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go to the next MIDI channel, and as you can see, it says Rhodes right here. I had already loaded in a Rhodes. Now you're going to want to know how to also load in a patch from your hard drive. The Roland MV-8000 comes with many sounds already included. So let me show you how to load one of those patches real quick. I'm going to hit close here.
It's got a drum patch too.
Alright, no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Instruments, which is a button located right to the right of System. And as you can see, we have our patch list. 1 through 16. These are 16 different patches that we can use right now. I'm going to hit Menu, which is now highlighted. And as you can see, it gives me 4 options there. Save patch, load patch, copy patch, initialize patch. Sorry, that's 5 options.
Our 5th option.
Delete patch.
Exactly.
Alright, now you always have to know where you're at. I'm going to exit there. I want to be on the second one. See how I was on the first? I'm now on number 2, and I want to load something in over those Rhodes. I'm going to load in some drums over those real quick. Actually, you know what?
Let's keep the Rhodes.
Okay, let's keep the Rhodes.
Let's go to 5.
All right, let's load something on our empty patch. Good idea, Doc.
Excellent.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit Menu, go down to Load Patch, hit F5 for Select, and then it brings us to our internal hard drive. Now we could also load patches off of other devices, say a floppy disk, CD-ROM, and you can't really load off an audio CD, obviously.
Really.
So we're just going to do it off of our hard disk.
Right.
We're going to cursor down to Patches.
Right.
And these all come standard with your MV-8000. We're going to pick drum kits.
Cool.
I'm going to cursor to the right to open that file. And we got a whole bunch of drum kits here. Let's try our Dirty 9.
Let's try that.
I'll hit
funky.
Execute by pressing F5. It says Processing.
Pretty quick.
And that's it. Now I'm going to go back by hitting Instruments, which is the button located right next to System. And as you can see, Dirty 9 is now loaded into patch 5.
Cool.
I'll go back to the sequencer, go to MIDI track 1, which is actually track 5 there, as you can see.
Right.
I'll press track parameters, go down here, and now I'm going to change this
To 5.
to 5.
39. I see. And that's our output sign.
And now when I hit the
Ooh.
pads, we have Dirty 9.
Great. Okay, let's make up a beat to go with that sample. Okay, before I start recording, I want to press my record button. As you can see here, we have other parameters available for us. Now, when I record on a MIDI track, we have the overdub available and replace. Now, overdub means we can add to the track. Replace means replace what's there and record something totally new. Below there we have our counting. You can see it's 2 measures. We have an auto punch-in. It'll start on the first measure, the first beat of that measure. And the out will be on the first beat and the first measure, which means once the loop goes around, we can actually get out. We have also record only. We can hear that metronome click and record only. Or we can hear it and play and record, or hear it always. For right now, I only want to hear it only in the record. Next, we have our input quantize type. In this case, I want to do a grid and keep my strength strong. That way it falls right on the grid. We can also set our resolution which are quantized grid resolution. This is very important to make sure in case you hit off the actual beat, it'll just put it right where it should be. And we also have our shuffle resolution, which is grayed out right now.
You'd actually have to switch from grid
To shuffle.
to shuffle. And now shuffle becomes available.
Okay.
And it's good to know when you're doing grid, if you need to get different feels, you change this. If you want 16th notes, 32nd notes, 8th notes, whatever. That's how you get it to quantize to those different rates.
On that grid. See that? You can change it to the VI is right next to the actual note number. Now, I'm going to do my record and play. I'm going to record. That click's going by, that metronome's going by. I'm going to make sure I'm in replace. Okay, now we got it going on. I'm going to press my play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. Here we go. See? I recorded that right in there. And it stopped recording.
Actually, it didn't stop, and the only reason it didn't dock is because we're in overdub mode.
I see.
Why don't we add a hi-hat on top of that?
Let's try that.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're doing the all-new next level with our MV-8000.
Using the same tracks from the first video.
Yep, we've got our song right here.
So we're just looping it there, right?
Yep. And what we're going to show you right now is how to extend our 2-bar loop into a full-fledged song. What we're going to be using here is the other options on our F buttons down here at the bottom of the screen. We have Event List, Piano Roll, and Sequence Edit. What we're going to first do is go to Sequence Edit by pressing F5. Alright, as you can see, it looks basically the same as our sequence mode, just a little bit different. We have a few different options here at the bottom. We have Track Select for F1, All Track Select for F2, Region In, Region Out for F3, and Command for F5. So what I'm going to do is, using my step buttons located right above the transport, I'm going to move it to the very top of our sequence. And now I'm going to press F3, which is Region In. Now I have to press it one more time, and as you can see, right up here we have these numbers are lit up and the rest are not. That signifies a region in. And if I cursor over here, you can see that there's the region in. It's a little line across the screen. And as I move it across, you can see it's selecting that track. That's because track select is on. Alright, so I'm going to region in and region out using the F3. I've just used the step buttons in my transport to get to the beginning of my 2-bar loop, and I'll press region in. As you can see, only the first numbers up here in our little region window become highlighted. We don't have the end point yet. So using the step buttons, I'm going to step across here to the end of our 2-bar loop. Now I will press region in out button for the out point, and as you can see, it's become highlighted right up here at the top of our screen. So now we have our region in and out.
Got it.
So now I basically have to select what I want to select. So let's check it out. I can move to, say, my first MIDI track here. Now I'm going to solo it by just turning the jog wheel there. As you can see, there's a little S, and play it. Alright, that's our drums. We want to say copy just the drums. What I'm going to do is press Track Select for F1. As you can see, it's become highlighted. It became highlighted because I'm on track 1 and I pressed Track Select. Now we can select more than one track if we want to. Now that the first one is selected, I can move down to, say, track 3. I will solo this as well. I'm going to play from the top. That's our little Rhodes part. It's a little faint, but it's there. I can also now hit track select F1, and now we have track 1 and track 3 for our MIDI tracks selected. Now what I want to do is really select everything. So what I'm going to do here is unselect that track, move back up, unselect the first track just using F1, and I'm going to hit F2 this time, which is all track select. Check that out. Now all of our tracks, including our audio tracks, are selected.
So we can now grab all these tracks and copy them maybe and paste them.
Yeah, well there's actually a whole bunch of options that we can do.
Exactly.
Using F5, which is command.
Cool.
So now that we've made a selection using our region in and out and our track select buttons, I'm going to press command.
Mm-hmm.
And now with command, you can see here we have all types of commands. We can move that region, copy and paste, copy and insert, erase, cut, quantize, change velocity, that's how hard you hit it, change duration, how long you held the pad for, shift timing to, shift it just a little bit off beat, maybe give it a shuffle feel. We can do data thin, transpose, or copy as MIDI clip. What we're going to show you today, and this is probably what you're going to be using it most for, is to copy and paste.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm just going to press F5 again to select that, and now you can see that our copy screen comes up. First we're going to select where we're going to copy it to. Well, we know that it's a 2-bar loop, so it ends at the end of bar 2, so we would want to copy the next one to the beginning of bar 3. So I'll put right there, 0003.
So we're actually taking the same piece and playing it again and copying it so it's double the space and double the size.
Exactly, and not only can we make it double the size, we're going to make it even longer than that by using times. We can copy it 2 times, 3, as many as we really want. We're going to copy this 16 times. So that will give us 32 bars because we have a 2-bar loop.
Right.
Alright, so we're going to hit execute.
Great, complete.
And now what I'm going to do is hold down the shift button, use my cursor, and zoom out. And as you can see, we have many more regions now, all the way across. And if I use step, I can move all the way across, and it should go up to bar 32. And would you look at this? There's 27, 28,
28,
and up to, I guess that's 34. I need to get my math right because we added 16 more.
Act already had 2.
And we already had 2. That's right, Dot. Alright, so we got a whole bunch now. I'm going to exit out of my sequence edit menu. And now we're back into the regular sequence menu. Go back to the top, press play. Oh, but first, let's turn off our loop. Just hit the loop button located right above our transport.
Yep, so the loop won't be on.
Yep, go to the top, hit play. And you can see here on our sequence screen, there's bar 3,
Yep.
4,
Music is classic
3,
playback
4.
here. Yep, there's some playback here, right? That little line across the top. Great. Let's pick out a solo. We take the solos out. Well, forget, that's good.
Alright, so now that we've copied and pasted our 2-bar loop all the way through our song, let's manage our sequence a little bit better. We can go to the top here, and I was using solo before, just like I showed you, just by turning the dial there. I'm going to solo our first MIDI track and press play. Alright, we got our drums there. Now, to manage this and know that those are the drums instead of, say, MIDI 1 like it says here, later on we're going to get confused. So why don't we go to track parameters, F1. We're going to move our cursor down, or actually, we're going to now name our sound.
Yeah.
Right here on MIDI 1.
Yep, I see.
We're going to press F1 for name. As you can see, MIDI 1 comes up right there, And now all I have to do is either use my numeric pads here or my jog wheel. And I'll just quickly name this drums.
Phase it in. Yeah, most definitely. Drums. I see what you see.
Alright. I'm going to hit OK. And there we have it. We have our drum track. I'm going to close it. And as you can see here, now it says drums instead of MIDI 1. Great way of organizing your tracks. Alright, so now we're going to show you the other two options here for F3 and F4, which are event list and piano roll. So first I'm going to move to our track. And as you can see, we've named all of our tracks now. I'm going to say, let's go to our drums here. I'm going to press first F4 for piano roll. Now what this does is shows us all of our note data as a piano roll. We see the notes here, and each pad of our 16 velocity pads is assigned to an actual note number. And that's what that is there, is our keyboard. And as you can see right here, this is all of our drum hits and how hard we hit them. That's the velocity right there. I'm going to zoom in to give you guys a better shot by just holding down Shift and using my cursor.
Either left or right, I see.
And there we go. We have, it looks like our hi-hat right there, our kick, and our snare.
Yeah.
So that's like kick, snare, and that's how hard we hit the pads right there. We can actually go through and edit all of that information just like we did in our sequence edit. We have pretty much the same functions. We have for F1 note select, all note select for F2, region in, region out for F3. So it really works exactly the same way as sequence edit, but it allows us to pick individual MIDI notes.
Use the command button too, yeah, I see.
Yep, and with command, see we don't have any region selected. Why don't I close that? I'll region in here, go to the next beat there, region out. I'm going to note select, or let's do all note select. Oh, I'm going to reset my region here.
I see.
Do region in. Make sure that it's highlighted.
For region in, got it.
I'm going to step, and now press region out. There's our note select. And as you can see, these became highlighted. Now I can press command, and look, we have about the same options as before in our sequence edit. Move, copy and paste, copy and insert, erase, quantize. That means put right on the beat so it's nice and in time.
Right top pre-selected quantized field.
Yep. Change velocity, change duration, shift timing, and transpose.
Got it.
Pretty basic. And
Also
that's
MIDI information.
Yep. And that's another way to edit your information. We're going to exit out of this, and now they give you one more way, which is our event list located on F3 of our main sequence screen. I'm going to go to the top, and remember I'm here on our drum track. I'm going to press event list, and as you can see, we have every single, wow, look at that.
Yep, every event that happens within that whole, there's in different spaces, right? In different parts of the actual two-bar loop. I see what you're saying.
Yep. And see, this shows every note.
You know, on that track.
Yep. And so we can actually edit individual notes by playing through it. Now I'm going to tap through it so I can get sort of the same feel as the beat. And I can find like my clap. And with the clap, I can see what note it was. I can see what velocity I hit it at. And I can see the duration. It's pretty cool. And there's the pad that I hit it at.
Yep.
Just another way of editing your information. And for your F buttons, you get create, erase, copy, paste, and filter. Different ways of editing your MIDI information. And there you have it. That's different ways. Alright guys, we're going to show you one different thing now. We're going to actually record audio onto an audio track.
That's right.
We're not going to be doing an audio phrase, we're actually going to be doing real audio here. So what you're going to need to do is pick whatever you want to record and put it to your inputs on the back of your MV-8000. Right now we're just using a Shure SM58 mic, and
So it goes right there, guys. That's the mic that I'm on right now.
And we just have that plugged into the left side of our mic line.
Let's show me the ring.
All right. There it is. That's our quarter-inch connector. All right.
And now we're back. I'm back in. So you hear that? Good.
All right. So what I've done here on the screen is I've gone to track 2, the audio track. And as you can see, it's in the record status there with the little R.
Yep, little R.
All right. So when I press record on the audio track, what you're going to see here is we have a few different options in the record mode. We have direct mono, direct stereo, and event. Now we showed you the event was when you want to record an audio phrase, and that's how we put in our drum loop. We're actually going to do direct signal from the back of our MV-8000, and we want to do mono since we're recording vocals. And as you can see, we just have our 2-measure count in, and we have it set up to go. So, Doc, you want to lay down some vocals for us?
I'm ready to go.
All right. So it's going to give you 2 bars, and then you're going to start recording.
Okay.
2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4.
It's a fat rhyme from the DOC, kicking rhymes and I'm falling in time. I can work an MPC, an MPC 3000, and even one called the Dime. I can rock the studio. I got Pro 2 skills, you know I'm ill. Girls be all over me, G, cause I can make a delay times 3. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You heard it before on that fat track that I did for your boy, yeah. We the sample kings, you know what I'm saying? And don't nobody do it better. We the sample kings. We the sample kings. Yeah. Oh, we the sample kings. Oh, we the sample kings. Hit me. Huh.
All right. I'm just going to press stop there. And why don't we check what we've done? I want to turn down the sensitivity on my inputs here.
Whoa.
And that'll turn down the mic for us. And I'll go to the top of our sequence, and as you can see, there's a little bar there, and we've recorded some audio. Let me play back Doc's fat rhyme there. All right. Now it's there. It's not too loud. What we're going to want to do to be able to mix up our tracks, we're just going to press Mixer, which is located right to the lower left of our screen. And right here, I'm going to press stop real quick. Alright, we're in our mixer section. And, you know, Doc's vocal is a little bit low. We're going to show you how you can mix up the tracks to get exactly the sound you want. So, you have a few different options here. On your F buttons down here at the bottom, you have audio track, part 1 through 8, part 9 through 16, and our aux/phrase/in. Alright, and you have a few other functions here. You have on the left, it says mute, delay, chorus send, reverb send, our pan, and our level. And as you can see up here, because we're an audio track here on F1, it's highlighted, we have our drum loop and we have Doc. That's the rap we just laid down.
Right.
To check out our other parts, our MIDI tracks, they're referred to as parts. We have part 1 through 8, and as you can see here, we have part 1 through 5 up here at the top.
Yep.
And now, these parts are exactly assigned to the parts in your instrument. Right here, by pressing instrument button, you'll see we have part 1, that was our initial patch with the guitar, 2 our Rhodes, 3 our Strat, 4 our comp bass, and 5 are drums.
Those 39 drums, I remember those.
Yep. So we're in Mixer, and we can actually mix up our track. Why don't we start with everything at the bottom? Sounds good to me. Oh, there we go. Put them all at the bottom. Let's go to our audio track. Let's put those at the bottom as well. And Doc, why don't you do a little mix for us?
Okay, we'll try and see what we can do here.
Alright, so we'll go to the top and you can hit play now because I have all the sliders down. We won't hear anything.
Oh, good.
And so, let's start.
Okay. Let's see here. I'll turn this one up a little bit. Yeah, that one up there. I'll press play. Kicking rhymes and I'm falling in time. I can work an MPC, an MPC 3000, and even one called a dime.
Alright, so those are our audio tracks, and we only have ones on 1 and 2, as you can see here. There's our vocal,
I can make a delay times 3.
And our drum
yeah, you know
loop.
What I'm saying?
Right. I'm going to loop down a little bit. Now I'm going to go to like the part. Now I'm hearing part. I want to bring up probably.
There's our drum.
Yeah. The bass line.
Bring in that bass.
I go back here, I might mix some of the, say, let me get some more audio, those drums maybe. I go to audio track.
Cool. Let's add in some more parts.
Okay, let's go back to top, press stop first, then I'll go press to the top of my transport. Now I'll press play. Let's go back to the audio. Turn dock up a little more.
3000 and even one called a dime. I can rock the studio.
Okay, I see how it works now.
Cool. Let's try adding in a little bit of the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You heard it before on that fat track that I did for your boy. Yeah, we the sample kings.
Add in our little Rhodes.
Yeah.
We the sample kings. We the sample kings.
And you can actually even pan sounds. Check this out. I'm going to press audio track here on F1. It's highlighted. We have our drum loop and we have dock. That's the rap we just laid down.
Right.
To check out our other parts, our MIDI tracks, they're referred to as parts. We have part 1 through 8. And as you can see here, we have part 1 through 5 up here at the top.
Yep.
And now these parts are exactly assigned to the parts in your instrument. Right here, by pressing instrument button, you'll see we have part 1, that was our initial patch with the guitar, 2 are Rhodes, 3 are Strat, 4 are comp bass, and 5 are drums.
Those 39 drums, I remember those.
Yep. So we're in Mixer, and we can actually mix up our track. Why don't we start with everything at the bottom? Sounds good to me. Oh, there we go. Put them all at the bottom. Let's go to our audio track. Let's put those at the bottom as well. And Doc, why don't you do a little mix for us?
Okay, we'll try and see what we can do here.
Alright, so we'll go to the top and you can hit play now because I have all the sliders down. We won't hear anything.
Oh, good.
And so, let's start.
Okay. Let's see here. I'll turn this one up a little bit. Yeah, that one up there. I'll press play. Kicking rhymes and I'm falling in time. I can work an MPC, an MPC 3000, and even one called a dime.
Alright, so those are our audio tracks, and we only have ones on 1 and 2, as you can see here. There's our vocal,
I can make a delay times 3.
and our drum
yeah, you know
loop.
What I'm saying?
Right. I'm going to loop down a little bit. Now I'm going to go to like the part. Now I'm hearing part. I want to bring up probably.
There's our drum.
Yeah. The bass line.
Bring in that bass.
I go back here, I might mix some of the, say, let me get some more audio, those drums maybe. I go to audio track.
Cool. Let's add in some more parts.
Okay, let's go back to top, press stop first, then I'll go press to the top of my transport. Now I'll press play. Let's go back to the audio. Turn dock up a little more.
An MV-8000 and even one called the Dime. I can rock the studio.
Okay, I see how it works now.
Cool. Let's try adding in a little bit of the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You heard it before on that fat track that I did for your boy. Yeah, we the sample kings.
Add in our little Rhodes.
Yeah.
We the sample kings. We the sample kings.
And you can actually even pan sounds. Check this out. I'm going to press stop, go to our audio track here. Alright, so we got our little mix going here. We got our track. And now we can even have more control over it in our mixer section by using some of the other functions. I can say mute a track if I want to. Like I'm going to mute our drum loop and just have the MIDI drums that we programmed. Check that out.
Yep.
Now I'll add it in. Oh, it comes back. Take it out. And that's your mute right there. Now I can also, let me unmute our drum loop.
From the mute right there.
Exactly. I'll unmute it. And we have two little knobs here. This is our delay chorus send and our reverb send. We're going to show you these in just a minute. These are our effects. Let me go down here. We have pan. Now this will allow you to move your sound in the stereo field from left to right.
So C means center, right?
Yep. Why don't we pan Doc's vocals around a little bit from left to right to sort of give you an idea.
Got Pro 2 skills, you know I feel. Girls be all over me.
Wow. He's all the way to the left. It's a little bit hard to hear from your TV there, but you can pan anything in the whole stereo field.
Now move to the right. You can't really hear it, but like he just said.
Another cool way you can add more of an effect to your mix by panning things around.
And C, of course, is your center position.
Alright, why don't we move on to our effects?
Let's put some effects on that drum.
Sounds good to me. Alright, we're in our mixer section here, and we're going to show you how to set up our effects. We're going to press the effects button, which is located to the lower right of our screen. And as you can see, we have our effects menu. We have the MFX, the ISO and filter. We have our delay/chorus and our reverb. Now we're going to be showing you the reverb and chorus. Basically, you get three knobs, and they are the three knobs that are located to the lower left of the screen. We have C1 here, C2, C3. These can control the different parameters in our chorus and our delay. So first, in our chorus, we can change the chorus note by turning my knob. I can change the chorus depth and the chorus feedback right there. Now I can go to my reverb. I can change on my reverb room size using the first knob, my reverb time using the second knob, and reverb high cut. Now, you can also load in different types of reverbs using the F buttons.
Yes.
Alright, so we can do a few different things with the F buttons. We have library for F3, which will allow us to select a different reverb.
Check that out.
We have on and off. We can turn it on and
cool.
off.
I see that.
And we can edit the reverb.
Oh, check that out.
I'm going to hit library here first, and as you can see, for reverb we get all kinds of options, and these are sort of preset reverb sounds.
Well, settings of certain reverb effects, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
Alright, so I'm going to exit out of this. We can also edit our reverb. I'm going to press F5, and now we can actually change all kinds of functions in here. We have our room size, our time,
Right.
pre-delay, diffusion,
Diffusion.
density, We have our low damp and our high damp, which will increase different frequencies or lower them. We have our high cut here. All kinds of different functions that we can change on our reverb.
You got to experiment and find what fits best for you.
Exactly. So I'm going to exit out of that, and also know that you can use the edit function on your chorus as well. You have the rate, sync, all your different chorus functions to match your track. And also you can do the same with your ISO filter by pressing edit. You get a few different functions there. Alright, so we've set up, let me set a reverb that we want. I want to go to my library and I'm going to do a plate reverb. I'll press F5 for use this, and as you can see there, it brings it up for me. I'm going to go back to my mixer by pressing the mixer button located at the lower right of the screen, and now we're going to find our drums, which is on part 1 through 8. I'll play the track, and as I play it, I'm going to turn up our reverb send. And to even get this point across a little bit better, let me go back to my sequence screen real quick, and I'm going to find my drum track and I'm going to solo it for you so you can hear the exact effect that I'm using. Alright, turn the jog wheel there for me, Doc.
Okay.
Cool, and we got it. It's soloed. I'll go back to mixer. We're going to go to the top of our track and hit play. There's our drums. Yeah, turn up that effect send, Doc.
Oh, I see, yeah.
We're adding a bunch of reverb.
A bunch of reverb on those drums.
Pretty cool.
I see, so you can send effects to any particular sound you want, even my vocals if I wanted to.
Yep. And you can even do chorus, which is located right above the reverb. Why don't you try that out?
Right here?
Mm-hmm. That was a little bit harder to hear. It sort of doubles up the sound just slightly.
We can hear it in here though, slightly. It's pretty good. Can we change that effect while we're on the go?
We would just hit effects while it's playing.
Wow.
Scroll to our chorus, press edit, and there we go. We can edit it by changing any of the numerous functions.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Turn the rate over. Okay. Okay, let's check out the pre-delay here. Let's turn this up.
Keep cranking it, Doc. Sounds
right.
pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And now, while it's playing, why don't we go back to our sequence menu? We'll unsolo our drums.
Oh yeah, you can hear the effect right along with the track. Oh yeah, Doc is hitting it heavy. Oh, it's gonna be number one. I feel it now.
All right. Now, we showed you how to use the reverb and the chorus, which are your basic effects.
Okay.
Now what I'm going to show you is our MFX. These are used a little bit differently than our other two, but we have all kinds of effects that we can use. First, what I'm going to do is press Library and select an effect. We have, as you can see, there are a ton of effects here. We've got everything from like a phonograph emulation to like a vocal multi. There's a vocoder in here, a mic modeler. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Tape distortion. We're going to use an auto wah, like a guitar wah on our guitar. So I'm going to go scroll through here and find it. Oh, there it is at the top of the list here.
Yep, auto wah.
Auto wah. Now, what I'm going to do is press use this, which is on F5.
Select it.
All right. Now you can see we have auto wah right there.
Little picture there too, huh?
Yep, a little wah pedal. So next we have to decide to do a few different things. We have our routing right here. And we can select either off, input, AUX 1 through 4, and master. Okay, input means that our inputting signal will be passing through the effect. We don't want that. We can now assign it to AUX 1 through 1, 2, 3, or 4, or we can send it to that, or we can set it to have everything, all of our tracks, go through the effect. We don't want that either. So we will assign it to, say, AUX 1 for right now.
Okay.
All right. So let's see if we can hear this effect. First we have to, let's go to our sequence here. Let's solo up our guitar.
Yeah, put the wah effect on the guitar.
So I'm soloing it right now. It's just a regular guitar. Let me turn it up for you.
Yeah.
All right. Now how to apply that wah sound? We're going to hit mixer.
Mixer.
All right. And now we're in audio track. We want to be in part because that's where our guitar is, right there.
Oh, I see, for the output.
Yep. And now this is where we're going to use the output. Like Doc just said, we're going to change this. We don't want it to go to mix. We want it to go to AUX 1. Wow, you hear that? I'm just hitting the pad. Now, let's check this out. If I hit AUX phrase/in, this is the last part of our mixer here, you can see that for auxiliary 1, we have MFX selected. Right?
Right.
Okay, and now when I hit play, because we have the guitar soloed, you can see a little level coming up through here.
Okay, I have to send into the effect.
Yep, and I can actually turn it down using my first fader.
Oh, I see.
So we're actually sending our guitar through our effect. Pretty cool. Now we can even send that effect now to our delay or our reverb.
I see. It's almost like 3 effects at once.
Yeah, like
one particular sound.
It's really cool. I could add some reverb to that now.
Oh yeah, cool. Delay too? Let me try this. Oh yeah.
And we're really changing our guitar sound now.
Yeah, a lot of effects. See that?
And now, if I wanted to edit the parameters of that wah while it's playing, I just press effects, and now you can see I'm back here to my wah.
Right.
I'm going to press edit.
Okay.
And now,
F5, got it.
we can go through and edit parameters. Let's add some phase to our wah.
I hear it changing though, yeah.
Now we can even sync the tempo, or our wah to the tempo, and tell it what note value to sync to.
Oh, I see.
We got all kinds of controls.
Oh yeah, I'm changing it now. Look at that. It's actually syncing it up to a different note value.
Yep. So experiment with all of your controls here. Each one will affect the sound in a little bit different way. Always
Wow.
check your manual.
That's kind of cool.
Alright, so now we've got sort of our effects happening. We've got our track. Why don't we show you how to bounce this down and actually make an audio CD out of it? What do you think, Doc?
It's time. Let's mix it down.
Alright, we're going to go to mastering. That's the button located to the lower right of our screen. I'm going to press mastering, and we have 4 options here. We have mixdown mode, mastering mode, create audio CD, and audio file list. Let's start with mixdown mode. We need to mix down all of our tracks to a stereo left and right track to be able to put it on an audio CD. So I'm going to press mixdown. Now it's going to ask me, enter mixdown mode. Are you sure?
Yep.
Yep, I'm going to press yes. And as you can see here, we go back to our screen, and it looks just like the sequence screen, but there's a little difference. Right up here, under sequence, you'll be able to see mixdown mode.
Yeah, the name right there.
Okay, so we want to mix down pretty much the whole length of Doc's vocals there. And as you can see, I'm going to zoom across here, and it goes down to about bar 17, and then that's probably where we're going to stop. So all I have to do to mix down my track is make sure I have all my levels right that I want. I'm going to play it. Yep, sounds pretty hot. That's exactly what we want.
Yep.
So I'll go to the top. I'm going to press record. Now watch this. I hit record and it says mix down mode. Gives you a little reminder there. And you'll see the record button flashing. All you have to do from this point on is hit play. Now watch this. It just said processing. It's actually bouncing down our track right now.
Oh, I see. Making a 2-track file, like a left and right.
Exactly.
So I can play on a Walkman or if I make a CD or something.
Yep. And you can see this little bar moving across here.
Oh, I see.
Pretty fat rap, Doc.
Fat whack. Okay.
Let it play out one more bar.
Okay.
And stop. Now it says mix down finish. Go to mastering. Well, I think I do want to go to mastering. I want to sort of beef up my track a little bit.
Yeah.
Get it ready for the radio play.
Okay.
I'm going to hit yes, which is F5. And now you can see we go to our mastering mode.
All right, let's master it up.
Alright, we've got our master mode here. Now, you'll see a few things. We have our input and our output. Now, this output is going to be how loud your CD will be once you burn it. So you want to make sure that level is nice and hot. I'm going to play the track.
Turn it down some.
Wow. And you can see how that's our output level right here, as opposed to our input level.
Oh, I see.
Got it?
Yep.
Alright. So, I'm going to press stop here. The first thing that comes up, this is a basic multi-band compressor. A compressor sort of squashes your sound and makes it sound a little bit more tight. We have a compressor for the highs, mids, and lows.
Got it.
And your regular compressor functions, the attack, release, level, threshold, and ratio. If you want to know more about these functions, check your book. It's a great tool. Always use your multi-band compressor. Alright. You can also, by pressing your F2 button, bring up your multi-track library. These are sort of preset settings to get, a desired sound. They have
compression,
mix down, pre-master, a live mix, all kinds of different stuff in here. And these are basic presets for whatever you need.
Okay, cool. Let's pick something real quick.
All right. So we're just going to use our normal pop mix right here.
Okay.
All right. And now we can also do other effects on our mastering. And to do that, we press MTK Edit. Now we have 9 different effects that we can apply.
Oh.
We have an EQ, which you have low, all your different gains, all your different usual EQ functions there.
Right.
You have a bass cut filter. We'll cut off some of the bass there at 20 hertz. You have an enhancer, and you can set a certain frequency, your mix level, and your sensitivity for the enhancer. You have input. We can increase our input gain to our master. And we have detect time. Also, we have an expander, a little bit sort of like the opposite of a compressor. Check it out and mess with the settings. You'll find some cool for whatever you're doing. Now we have a compressor. This is another compressor set right here. We have a mixer, our lows, mids, and highs. We have a limiter. This limits the signal coming out so it won't clip.
Right.
And we have our master output.
Many effects.
Yep, soft clip is always good to have on. That'll help you avoid distortion on your track. And remember, CDs have to burn at 16-bit. So leave your dither on at 16-bit. And for each of these effects, you're going to either have to turn them on or off. And you can see that status right here. It'll say on, or if you go to say this one, we have our bass cut filter off. And to turn them on and off, you use F5, and that's how it works right there.
Great.
Alright, so basically all you have to do now is press record once again with all of your settings set for mastering and hit play.
That's kind of cool.
Yep. Alright, we're almost at the end of our track now. Remember, I just hit record and play in the mastering mode. And now our track ends. It says mastering finish. Go to CD burning. I'm going to hit yes. Now processing.
And once it does, you put your CD in and burn your disc.
Alright, we've just processed our mastered track, and it brings us into our CD burning screen. We have a few options here at the bottom of the screen. We have insert, delete, move, and write CD. So first I need to insert a track so that we can burn it. I'm going to press F1, and as you can see we have two tracks there. We have our mix down and we have our mastering. Right? Okay, so I'm going to select our mastering because that's the mastered copy. I'll select execute, and now all we have to do is press write CD. Now if you wanted to add, say, a few more of your tracks that you've already bounced down, all you would do is press insert again and say I could insert our regular mixdown track as well so I could hear the difference.
Right.
Or if I have other mastered tracks, I'll just add those.
Great.
And you can listen to each track, like I can listen to this one.
So you can audition the tracks before you actually bounce them down.
Yep.
And make sure the proper track is going to be on that CD. Got it.
Yep. I'll just close it there and exit that, and then all I have to do is hit write CD and we can write our CD.
Great.